Hi everyone, it's Tiffany from Daisy Farm Crafts, and today I'm going to do my very best explaining to you how I made this textured kind of heart blanket where I've got one texture on one side and then the reverse is the next section. However, when you turn it over, you can, the other side shows. It's only 2 stitches. It's just a back loop half double crochet and a front bottom loop half double crochet. But if you do it in a way so that all your, front loops are on one side, we can kind of create shapes. So I'm going to do my best to explain this little chart that I've got for you and show you the stitches. And then at the end of the video, I have just my reel that I had shared to Instagram to show you how to do this, the rib border. Although I'll show you at the end one row of what that looks like. And but the other video will show you how to just kind of make the corner squared off like that. This is not a beginner friendly project, so that's why I'm kind of just going to explain, because I think if you've got a lot of experience crocheting, you'll be able to do this no problem. I'm not recommending that a beginner do this project until you've got, some time under your belt. Or also go to our website. You'll be able to print the graph, and then I also will have, the line by line written out instructions as well. So the yarn I used for the project is this beautiful new yarn by Karen, Yarnspirations, Karen Simply Me. It is a blend with wool and nylon and acrylic. So it's just super bouncy and was super fun to work with. It really reminded me of fine merino wool. I first tested it with just doing a back loop slip stitch, yarn over slip stitch for hats, and it's just super stretchy, nice, really cozy. And that's why I thought, oh, this would be fun to kind of do like a really nice lap blanket, or like a stroller blanket when you're out giving your babies a stroller ride. Plus it was fun to kind of come up with some texture. I'm using a J 6mm hook. That's the size recommended on the package. So when you print my graph, if you're just going to be using the graph, a whole section repeat is 54 chains, and that's what I have today. Add 1 for your turning chain, and we'll chain 1 at the end of every row. So I do have 55 chains today to get us started. So row 1, if you'll notice, there's a 1 in the bottom right hand corner. We are starting right to left. This will be the right side of our work. And every box is colored pink because I'm signifying that every stitch across the row will be half double crochet. So just get that started and work 1 row of half double crochet. So I have 54 stitches across, and that's what 1 box on the graph represents. So row 2, we read from left to right, and that will be considered the wrong side of our work. So go ahead, chain 1 and turn your work. So when I'm looking on from left to right, going the wrong side, I want to work front bottom loop. So I'm going to work 27 stitches in the front bottom loop. Of still just half double crochet. And front bottom loop is, there's the loop down here that faces you. And this will put the V's on the back side of my, to the front side of the work. So go ahead and make 27 of the front bottom loop. So after I have 27 of the front bottom loop, which represents reading the chart left to right, now we switch the back loop half double crochet. So I am looking down on the top of my V's and grabbing the back loop. And that completes row 2. So I'll finish this towards the end, chain 1 and turn. So I chained 1 and turned, and basically we have the same thing, just on opposite. So we're doing, there you go. That's what I love. Just thought this was so fun to do this with half double crochet. Okay, so we know we're on the 3rd row, and this is where we begin this work. So the 3rd row, since we have what essentially when you don't see the ribs and it kind of pokes out towards you, we start with the front bottom loop to keep the V's on the same side of the work. So we will work 13 front bottom loop, and just when you get to the graph, spot number 14, switch and do a back loop. So here's number 13 for me. I have 13, and now I just work 1 into the back loop. And honestly, as the heart grows, it's very easy to identify when you're supposed to be working front bottom loop and when you work. You won't really have to worry, am I on the right side or the wrong side? It just kind of all starts coming together. Most important thing is to just keep the counting on either side to make the heart. And that even starts to come together. It's all, you're just adding 1 and taking 1 away, whatever. It just starts working out. Okay, so I'm finishing these across. And then, of course, once I get over here, I'll do the back loop and then a front loop, front bottom loop, back loop. So here's the start of the 3rd row with just the 1 little nub there and the opposite on the other side. So we have 2 opposite sides. So I will chain 1 and turn. And now I'll continue with row 4, and I'm going to keep the front bottom loop, because if you can start telling the texture right away that this smooth look is working the front bottom loop. When you see the V's, you want to work back loop. The braid, I guess you would call it. So front bottom loop. And we want to do 12 stitches in front bottom loop. And then we work 3 in back loop. And then 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I just work back loop for 3. And front bottom loop for 12. And when you get to the next section, it's just the exact opposite. 12 stitches in back loop, half double crochet, 3 stitches in front loop. So now I'm hoping you can see more clearly, and it really makes it easy because I'm noticing the colors. I can't really tell you, oh, white for sure is front bottom loop, because every time you turn it changes. So front bottom loop is when it is definitely the texture is facing you. You know you're going to want to work front bottom loop. Back loop is when you see those little V's. So I basically use the chart just to keep track of the numbers. So we know that we have 2 rows of the heart, the bottom of the heart done. So now I'm working on this one, and that will be basically you take away 1 from the side. And so last time we did 12, this time it's 11. And then we add 2 for the middle part, and that would be 5. It goes 1, 3, 5, 7 up. So something that could be easier for you to do is to go ahead and, like, if you wanted to, just mark how many spaces are for the heart is another idea too. But once I just started getting this going, I don't know, all I can say is I would build up the heart until I had 3 left on either side, made sure, and then switched. You just become really familiar with that graph. So let me show you again on this blanket. I mean, there's just not much more I can show you because it's just a matter of alternating the stitches, and it just creates the cutest little texture. So just make sure you're keeping your front loops when you're making one, and these are the back loop. Because when you flip it, it's the back side of this is the V's. So I just loved how that looked. So I hope this can be somewhat helpful. I know it's not my usual tutorial, but I don't know of a better way to explain this blanket to you. I think you guys will get it though. Just keep switching. Just keep switching stitches to make your heart. So I do hope it turns out well for you. I used 7 skeins for this blanket. I still have a little bit more to go. Let me show you. It's going to be, I've got a little bit, and I'm really hoping I'm going to make it towards the end. I'll have it in the pattern. If I did, I think I do. I think I have plenty. So it is 7 skeins. So if you want it any larger at all, you need to get more yarn than just the 7. That's it. And you, of course, are free to put any kind of border on it. I just chose to do the back loop half double crochet ribbing, which turned out so cute. I love it. Just kind of like a cozy little sweater, a little heart sweater blanket. So thank you for stopping by. I wish you all the luck, but give this yarn a try. It really, do any of our heart pattern or hat patterns with this yarn. I think you'd be really, really pleased. It also doesn't even peel. I mean, I've had this on the kids for a couple weeks now, and it's just holding up really well. And the cute little pom-pom I made turned out really cute too. So they've got great colors. Let me show you a couple more colors. They have a really pretty purple, and they have this bright green. They do have a dark gray, a dark blue, and they have a coral. This one's called Ruby. So lots of different options for you. Now, if you would like to have me explain how I do the border, this is a video that I did record earlier, and I'm just going to do a little voiceover here and talk you through it. So you start, however, by chaining 9, and then you work half double crochet into each of the 8 chains back to the start of the border and slip stitch over twice. So when you get going, if you'll notice, one thing I like to do is I do like to work under both loops on the very first stitch when you work on the outer edge of the blanket. I feel like it just gives it a little bit neater appearance. But right now you're seeing me just work half double crochet back loop only. And I'm working back towards the edge of the blanket. And when I get there, I will slip stitch 2 times into the next 2 stitches. Now one thing else I did is I did begin this blanket, I worked a round of single crochet. So then you just turn your work so that you can work back out to the edge. Again, back loop. And now as I get to this outer edge, I'm going to chain 9. And this starts the next row or the next side for the border and gives us a little corner here. So work 8 half double crochets, 1 in each chain. And now we kind of turn that blanket on its side, the border, and now we're working slip stitch into the next 2 or the top of the 2 half double crochets, like that. And then turn, and we're just working perpendicular to that last side that we worked at. It's very hard to explain, easier to see. So now just work up the half double crochets you just made. One thing I do like to do is I count the stitches from the outer edge in so that I know exactly that that's the first stitch. Like I'll count back 8 stitches just so I make sure I'm not going into any of those slip stitches. Sometimes the 2 slip stitches can look like a stitch and that can make your border crooked. So I'm always making sure I start in the right stitch. There should always be 8. And actually that number, you can make it however wide or short. You don't have to do 8 or 9 chains out. You can make that number. Just remember how many stitches that you have so it stays the same. So like I say, I work under both loops on the first stitch and then under the back loops. So now you can see we're just working perpendicular and we'll just continue across that edge. Well, I hope that helps. Thank you so much, you guys, for stopping by. You have a wonderful day.